Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Channel. Tonight, we're stepping into a hidden layer of life that is always working, always protecting, and almost never noticed. A world of invisible reactions, where tiny molecules shape the balance between damage and repair, between energy and survival. Every breath you take brings both life and risk. Every heartbeat fuels a chemistry that must be carefully managed. And within that delicate balance, an entire system moves quietly through your body, shielding cells, restoring order, and helping life continue, moment by moment. These unseen processes are happening inside you right now, guiding the health of your cells, your skin, your mind, and even the pace at which your body changes over time. The more we understand them, the more the ordinary begins to feel extraordinary. If you enjoy these gentle journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, all you need to do is get settled in. Let your shoulders soften, let your breathing slow, and allow your mind to settle into stillness as we explore the hidden chemistry of antioxidants together. Let's begin. Antioxidants are your body's tiny shields against unstable molecular attacks. Inside every living cell, molecules are constantly colliding, changing, and passing energy from one place to another. Most of that chemistry is beautifully controlled, but some molecules are left unstable, with an unpaired electron that makes them desperate to grab from something nearby. That is where trouble begins. They can strike a cell membrane, a protein, or even the instructions stored in DNA. What makes this so fascinating is how small the defense can be. A single protective molecule can step in and calm that chaos by giving up one of its own electrons without becoming dangerously unstable itself. That simple act can stop a chain reaction before it spreads. So although the threat is microscopic, the stakes are enormous. These protectors are helping preserve the structures that let cells communicate, divide, and survive. Much of your health depends on countless tiny rescues happening beyond sight every second of the day. Breathing oxygen creates damage, and antioxidants help keep it in check. Oxygen feels like the symbol of life, and in many ways, it is. Without it, your cells could not pull large amounts of energy from food. Yet that same process comes with a hidden cost. As oxygen is handled inside the body, a small fraction is transformed into highly reactive byproducts that can damage nearby molecules. In other words, the very chemistry that keeps you alive also produces sparks that need controlling. That paradox is one of the most astonishing things about biology. Life on Earth learned to use oxygen because it was powerful, but it also had to evolve ways to survive oxygen's darker side. This is where protective chemistry becomes essential. These compounds and enzymes help stop those reactive forms from spreading damage through tissues. Every breath is part gift and part challenge. The body is not simply powered by oxygen. It is also engaged in a constant balancing act that makes oxygen safe enough to use. Your cells would rust from within without antioxidant defenses. Metal left out in rain and air slowly begins to change. It flakes, weakens, and loses the structure it once had. Something loosely similar can happen inside the body, though the process is far more delicate and much more complex. Oxidation can alter fats, distort proteins, and disrupt the membranes that keep cells intact. The comparison to rust is so striking because it turns an invisible process into something you can almost picture. Without protection, the chemistry of ordinary life would gradually push cells toward breakdown. What makes this more remarkable is that the body never waits for damage to become obvious. It is already stocked with systems built to slow that wearing away. These defenses help preserve flexibility, shape, and function in places where even tiny chemical changes matter. The wonder is not that oxidation exists. The wonder is that living tissue remains so organized despite it, holding together through years of exposure because an unseen maintenance crew is always at work. Antioxidants are not one substance, but a whole protective team. It is tempting to imagine one heroic compound doing all the work, as if the body had a single master defender hidden in every cell. The truth is more interesting than that. Protection comes from a network. Some compounds patrol watery parts of the body. Others settle into fatty membranes where different kinds of damage are more likely. Some are made in the body itself, while others come from foods. There are even enzymes that act like specialized cleanup crews, transforming dangerous byproducts into less harmful forms again and again. That teamwork is what makes the system so elegant. One member of the network can hand off protection to another, and different tissues can rely on different combinations depending on what they face. A brain cell, a liver cell, and a skin cell do not live under the same chemical conditions. The body does not trust one shield. It builds an entire coordinated defense, layered and adaptable, because life is too complex for a single answer. Colorful fruits often reveal the antioxidants plants use to survive sunlight. A bow of berries or slices of mango may look cheerful and inviting, but those colors began as part of a survival strategy. Plants live under full sunlight for hours each day, and intense light can push their cells into producing reactive molecules, just as it can in our own tissues. To cope with that stress, plants build protective pigments and other compounds that help defend their leaves, skins, and flesh. That is why deep blues, reds, oranges, and purples can signal more than beauty. They can hint at a chemical toolkit shaped by exposure to sun, weather, pests, and seasons. It is wonderful to think that what catches our eye on a market stall may be the visible trace of a plant's struggle to stay intact under the sky. When we eat those foods, we are not just eating sweetness or color. We are tasting part of a defensive system that evolved in sunlight long before humans ever gave it a name. Some antioxidants work in water, while others guard your body's fats. The body is not made of one kind of landscape. Blood plasma, cell fluid, membranes, stored fat, and lipoproteins all create different environments, and each comes with its own chemical risks. That is why protection has to be placed with care. Some defenders move easily through watery spaces where they can intercept reactive molecules in fluids inside and around cells. Others are built to settle into fatty regions, especially cell membranes, where oxidation can spread rapidly once it starts. This division of labor is one of the cleverest parts of the whole story. A membrane is not just a wrapper. It is a living boundary packed with delicate fats that help cells signal, transport, and respond. If those fats are damaged, the cell can lose control over what enters, what leaves, and how messages move. So the body stations different kinds of protectors in different chemical neighborhoods. It is less like carrying one umbrella and more like designing the whole city for changing weather. Your body makes its own antioxidants before food ever enters the picture. Many people first hear about this topic through foods, drinks, or supplement bottles. That can make it sound as though protection arrives from the outside, delivered only after a healthy meal. Yet long before the first bite of fruit or handful of nuts, the body is already defending itself. Cells can build some of their own most important protective molecules from basic raw materials, and they can also produce enzymes devoted entirely to neutralizing reactive byproducts. This changes the whole feeling of the subject. It is not simply about adding a helpful substance from the outside. It is about an internal survival system written into life itself. Your tissues are not passive targets waiting to be rescued. They are active chemists, constantly assembling tools for repair and defense. Food still matters greatly because it supports and complements those systems. But the first astonishing fact is that the body comes prepared. Protection is not an optional luxury. It is part of the original design. Even exercise creates free radicals, and that is not always bad. At first, this sounds almost unfair. Movement is supposed to be good for you, yet the harder your muscles work, the more oxygen they use, and the more reactive byproducts they can create. But this is where the story becomes far more subtle and far more beautiful. Not every chemical spark is a disaster. During exercise, some of these reactive molecules act like signals that tell the body to adapt. They help trigger responses that strengthen the cell's own defenses, improve energy handling, and prepare tissues for future effort. In other words, a measured challenge can make the system smarter and stronger. That idea turns the whole subject upside down. Protection is not about erasing every trace of stress. It is about responding well to the right amount of it. The body grows through conversation with challenge. A brisk walk, a run, or a hard climb is not just burning fuel. It is teaching your cells how to cope more effectively next time. Antioxidants can protect DNA, proteins, and delicate cell membranes. What makes these defenders so important is not only what they do, but what they are protecting. DNA stores the instructions for building and maintaining life. Proteins act as workers, messengers, switches, and structures. Membranes create the boundaries that allow each cell to remain a controlled world rather than a leaking bag of chemistry. All three are vulnerable in different ways. Reactive molecules can nick genetic material, twist proteins out of shape, or start destructive reactions in fragile fats. When that happens, the effects can ripple outward. A damaged protein may stop doing its job. A damaged membrane may become less stable. A damaged stretch of DNA may force a repair or leave behind an error. The fascination here lies in the scale. These are tiny events with enormous consequences. It takes only a small chemical strike in the wrong place to disrupt a system. So much of biological survival depends on preventing those small strikes from becoming bigger stories. The most powerful antioxidant strategy is balance, not megadoses. This subject once invited a very simple dream. If a little protection is good, then huge amounts must be even better. That idea sold a great many pills, but the biology was never so straightforward. The body does not run on one direction only. It needs defense, but it also uses reactive molecules for signaling, adaptation, and immune function. Flooding the system with isolated compounds does not necessarily improve that balance, and in some settings, it may even interfere with it. What seems more convincing is a broader pattern, where many compounds arrive together in foods, alongside fiber, minerals, fats, and other plant chemicals that change how they behave. That approach feels less dramatic, but it is closer to how living systems actually work. Cells do not ask for a chemical avalanche. They ask for support, timing, and proportion. The real wonder is not in overwhelming the body. It is in helping a finely tuned system keep its footing. Free radicals can form every time your cells turn food into energy. Deep inside your cells, tiny structures are constantly stripping energy from food and turning it into something usable. It is one of the most important processes in your body, and also one of the most dangerous. As electrons move through that machinery, a few escape their intended path and react with oxygen in ways that create unstable molecules. That means every meal sets off not only nourishment, but also a small risk. It is a breathtaking trade. The same chemistry that lets your muscles move, your heart beat, and your brain think also creates molecular trouble as a side effect. This is not a design flaw so much as the price of powerful energy. Life chose a system with enormous rewards, then had to evolve defenses to manage X sparks. So even the simple act of eating and living has an edge to it. Your body is not only producing energy, it is constantly managing the fallout of being alive. Sunlight can trigger the same oxidative stress inside exposed skin. Step into bright sunlight, and your skin begins a remarkable negotiation with the world outside. Light warms it, touches it, and helps your body make vitamin D. But ultraviolet radiation also pushes skin cells into reactive chemistry that can damage fats, proteins, and genetic material if it is not controlled. This is part of why sunlight feels so double-sided. It can be life-giving and harsh at the same time. Skin is not passive in that exchange. It carries pigments, enzymes, and protective compounds that help absorb, deflect, and respond to the assault. Yet heavy exposure can still overwhelm those defenses, especially over years. What makes this so fascinating is that the danger is not always dramatic. Damage can begin silently, long before a burn appears. Every time you stand in strong sun, millions of cells are deciding whether they can cope. The surface of the body becomes a front line where light itself tests the chemistry of survival. Smoke and pollution can overwhelm antioxidant defenses from the outside. The air can deliver more than oxygen. It can also carry an army of reactive chemicals, fine particles, and unstable compounds that push the body into defensive mode the moment they arrive. Cigarette smoke is one of the clearest examples. It contains a dense cocktail of oxidizing substances that can strike tissues directly and drain protective reserves as the body tries to contain the damage. Polluted air can do something similar on a broader scale, especially in the lungs, where delicate surfaces are meant for exchange, not chemical combat. That is what makes this so unsettling. Breathing is unavoidable. You cannot choose to stop using the doorway through which many of these threats enter. The body responds with mucus, enzymes, immune cells, and internal defenses, but repeated exposure can keep pressure on the system day after day. In a very real sense, the modern atmosphere can turn each breath into more work than the body was ever meant to handle. Antioxidants often work by donating a single stabilizing electron. One of the most dramatic rescues in biology can happen through something almost absurdly small. A reactive molecule becomes dangerous because it is missing an electron, and that missing piece makes it aggressive. It collides, steals, and leaves fresh instability behind. Then along comes a protective molecule able to hand over one electron without becoming dangerously reactive itself. That tiny transfer can stop the theft and calm the situation before it spreads. It is astonishing that so much can depend on something so small and so fast. No alarms sound. No swelling appears. Yet an invisible exchange has just prevented damage from jumping to a membrane, an enzyme, or a strand of DNA. This is chemistry at its most elegant. A single particle can decide whether a reaction ends quietly or becomes a chain of destruction. The body's safety sometimes depends not on brute force, but on exquisitely timed generosity at the level of atoms. One antioxidant can regenerate another after it has done its job. What makes this system so impressive is that it does not always act like a row of disposable guards falling one by one. In many cases, one protective molecule can help restore another after it has already intercepted a threat. That means the defense network behaves less like a pile of shields and more like a relay team passing strength back and forth. A compound gives up some of its protective power, then another arrives to restore it and send it back into action. This creates a kind of chemical economy, where protection can be renewed instead of simply spent. It also reveals how deeply cooperative the system is. The body is not relying on isolated heroes. It is relying on relationships. Some molecules are especially good at stopping certain reactions. Others are especially good at resetting the defenders once they are altered. Hidden inside ordinary metabolism is a restoration cycle, where rescue is followed by repair, and repair makes rescue possible again. Vitamin C helps restore vitamin E after oxidative damage. There is something beautiful about the way these familiar nutrients can work together. One of them is especially useful in watery environments, and the other is especially important in fatty regions, such as membranes. When the fat-based defender intercepts a damaging reaction, it can become altered in the process. That might sound like the end of the story, but it often is not. A water-based partner can step in and help return it to an active state, allowing it to keep protecting vulnerable structures. This is not merely nutrition as a checklist. It is chemistry as collaboration. The image most people carry of vitamins is simple and separate. The reality is far more alive. One supports the other. One recovers the other. Protection becomes a conversation between different corners of the cell. It is especially striking because it shows that nutrients are not just passive ingredients. In the right setting, they become participants in an ongoing cycle of loss, rescue, and renewal. Vitamin E stands guard inside the body's most vulnerable fatty tissues. Many of the body's most delicate boundaries are built from fats. Cell membranes depend on them. So do certain transport particles moving through the bloodstream. These fatty structures are essential, but they are also tempting targets for oxidation. Once a damaging reaction begins there, it can spread quickly from one lipid to the next, like a chemical brush fire. That is why a fat-soluble defender is so important. It can lodge itself right where the danger is greatest, inside the membrane itself, and interrupt the reaction before the damage runs through the whole structure. This is a marvelous piece of biological placement. The body does not keep every safeguard floating at random. It positions protection where the chemistry demands it. In the brain, in muscles, in skin, and in countless cells throughout the body, these fatty barriers make life possible. A molecule tucked quietly inside them helps hold the line, preserving the very edges that let cells remain themselves. Glutathione is one of the body's most important built-in antioxidants. Among the many defenders inside the body, one stands out for how central and how quietly powerful it is. This small molecule is present in cells throughout the body and is especially vital in places that face heavy chemical stress, such as the liver. It helps neutralize reactive compounds, supports detoxification, and works with enzymes that convert dangerous byproducts into safer forms. What makes it so remarkable is not only its usefulness, but its range. It participates in defense, repair, and recycling, moving through some of the body's busiest chemical crossroads. Scientists often speak of it with unusual respect because when levels drop too far, the cell's balance becomes much harder to maintain. It is like discovering a maintenance worker who also happens to be a fire watch, a cleaner, and a repair supervisor all at once. Most people never hear its name in daily life, yet countless cells depend on it to hold steady under ordinary chemical pressure. Glutathione is made from ordinary amino acids with extraordinary results. One of the most astonishing things about this important defender is how humble its ingredients are. It is built from 3 amino acids, which, on their own, sound completely ordinary. These are small building blocks, familiar parts of proteins, nothing that suggests glamour or mystery. Yet when the cell links them in the right way, the result becomes one of its most versatile protective tools. That transformation is part of what makes biology so endlessly impressive. Life does not always need exotic ingredients. Sometimes it creates something extraordinary by arranging common pieces with astonishing precision. From those simple materials comes a molecule able to help neutralize threats, support detoxification, and maintain the chemical balance on which cells depend. It is a reminder that living systems are master chemists. They do not merely gather raw materials, they compose with them. Out of the molecular equivalent of plain letters, the body writes one of its most important words for survival and stability. Some enzymes act as antioxidants, thousands of times each second. When people imagine protection in the body, they often picture nutrients drifting passively through tissues. Yet some of the most impressive defenders are enzymes, dynamic molecular machines that can perform the same task again and again with stunning speed. Instead of sacrificing themselves once, they take dangerous byproducts, reshape them, release safer products, and immediately prepare for another cycle. This makes them less like shields and more like tireless workers on an endless factory line. Their speed is part of what keeps the system viable. Reactive molecules can appear in bursts, especially in active tissues, and a slow response would not be enough. What is extraordinary is that all this happens in complete silence. No sensation announces it. No thought is required. While you sit, walk, or sleep, specialized proteins are performing chemistry at a pace almost impossible to imagine, keeping ordinary metabolism from tipping into harm. Protection here is not occasional. It is relentless, automatic, and astonishingly fast. Superoxide dismutase sounds technical, but it performs life-saving molecular housekeeping. The name can make it sound remote, like something that belongs only in textbooks and laboratories. But this enzyme performs one of the most important cleanup jobs in biology. It targets a reactive form of oxygen called superoxide, a byproduct that can appear when cells handle energy and oxygen at the same time. Left unchecked, that molecule can cause trouble quickly. This enzyme steps in almost immediately, transforming it into a different substance that the body can then deal with more safely through other systems. What makes this so captivating is how universal the need is. Forms of this enzyme are found across life, from tiny organisms to human cells, because the problem it solves is ancient and unavoidable. Oxygen gave life power, but it also created new hazards. This enzyme is part of the answer life invented. Hidden in nearly every moment of living chemistry is a cleanup specialist, preventing one dangerous spark from becoming something much worse. Catalase helps break down hydrogen peroxide before it harms cells. Hydrogen peroxide is familiar to many people as something kept in a bottle, a fizzing liquid used on cuts or in cleaning. It can be easy to forget that your own cells also produce it in small amounts during normal chemistry. Inside the body, however, it cannot be allowed to linger. It is reactive enough to become dangerous if levels rise or if it meets the wrong metals in the wrong place. That is where a remarkable enzyme takes over. Catalase splits it apart into water and oxygen with extraordinary efficiency, clearing away a potentially harmful substance before it can do greater damage. The elegance of that reaction is hard to overstate. Something risky appears as a natural result of life, and the body immediately converts it into familiar, harmless materials. It feels almost alchemical. The same organism that creates the threat has also evolved the means to erase it, turning danger into water and breath inside the hidden chambers of the cell. Your liver depends heavily on antioxidant chemistry to process toxins. The liver is one of the most hard-working and underappreciated organs in the body. Day and night, it handles substances arriving from food, drink, medicines, hormones, and environmental exposures, deciding what to store, what to transform, and what to send out for removal. That immense chemical workload comes with risk. Many of the conversion steps used to break down compounds create reactive intermediates along the way, and those intermediates can be harmful if they are not controlled quickly. This is why antioxidant systems are so crucial in liver tissue. They help the organ carry out dangerous chemistry without being destroyed by it. The image is almost cinematic. Deep inside you sits an organ running an endless industrial process, sorting and neutralizing incoming cargo, while protective molecules and enzymes rush to contain the sparks. The liver is not merely a filter. It is a chemical refinery, and without strong internal defenses, that refinery would be damaged by its own essential work. Mitochondria need antioxidants because power plants also make chemical sparks. Mitochondria are often described as the power stations of the cell, and the comparison is more revealing than it first appears. Like any system built to extract and manage energy, they operate with intense chemistry. They move electrons through carefully arranged pathways, build energy-rich molecules, and keep the cell supplied with the fuel it needs to function. But the more active the energy production, the greater the chance that some electrons will slip out of line and create reactive byproducts. In that sense, the engine room of the cell is also one of its most vulnerable spaces. This is why mitochondria are equipped with their own protective systems and rely heavily on nearby defenses. It is a beautiful example of life's realism. The body places some of its most important work in a location where danger is built into the process, then surrounds that work with safeguards. Power and risk rise together, and the cell must manage both at once. Plants make antioxidants partly to survive their own harsh environments. A plant may look peaceful, rooted in one place and bathed in sunlight, but its life is full of stress. It cannot run from drought. It cannot step into shade when the light becomes punishing. It cannot escape cold snaps, pests, or sudden heat. So instead, it builds chemistry. Many protective compounds found in plants arise because they help leaves, fruits, seeds, and skins survive those pressures. They can absorb radiation, calm reactive molecules, or help tissues endure attack and weather. That changes the way a leaf or berry can feel in the imagination. It is not simply food waiting for an animal to arrive. It is a structure equipped for hardship. The compounds we often praise for their value in our own diets first evolved because the plant itself needed them to remain alive and reproduce. In every bright fruit or bitter herb there is a survival story, written by sun, wind, insects, dryness, and time. The brighter a plant's stress, the richer its chemical defenses can become. Plants often respond to pressure not with movement, but with chemistry. When light intensifies, temperatures swing, water becomes scarce, or insects begin feeding. The plant may increase production of protective compounds as part of its defense. That means hardship can sometimes deepen a plant's chemical richness rather than simply weaken it. This is one of the most fascinating twists in the whole subject. Stress is not always just damage. In the right amount, it can provoke a more elaborate response. Grapes growing under strong sun, herbs facing dry conditions, and other plants living on the edge of comfort may intensify the very compounds that help protect their tissues. It is as if the plant becomes more chemically expressive when the world grows harder. That does not mean suffering is always beneficial, because too much can still destroy it. But it does reveal something profound. The living world often responds to challenge by becoming more complex, more defended, and in a strange way, more interesting. Deep berry colors often come from antioxidant pigments called anthocyanins. The dark blues, purples, and reds of berries can feel almost theatrical, as though nature wanted to make them impossible to ignore. Much of that color comes from pigments called anthocyanins, compounds that do more than decorate the fruit. In the plant, they can help manage light stress, protect tissues, and contribute to the fruit's survival during ripening. What makes them especially intriguing is that their color can shift with acidity, which is why the same family of compounds can create different shades in different settings. So the rich hue in a blueberry or blackberry is not just visual charm. It is chemistry on display. When you eat those colors, you are encountering molecules with a history in plant defense and adaptation. It is one of the loveliest examples of how beauty and function can merge. A berry announces itself with color, and hidden within that invitation is a record of how plants learn to live under a difficult sky. Tomatoes become richer in lycopene when they turn fully red. A tomato's journey from green to red is not merely a change in appearance. It is a major chemical transformation. As the fruit ripens, chlorophyll fades and other compounds rise, including lycopene, the pigment largely responsible for that saturated red color. This shift signals that the fruit has moved into a new stage of development, one aimed at attracting animals that will eat it and help spread its seeds. That is what makes ripening so fascinating. The color is part of a strategy. The fruit changes itself into something more visible, more appealing, and more chemically distinct at exactly the moment it wants attention. Lycopene becomes one of the signatures of that moment. So when a tomato reaches full redness, you are seeing the plant's timing made visible. Its chemistry has ripened into a message. Eat me now. Carry my seeds away. Hidden inside the color of a salad ingredient is the ancient drama of plant reproduction and survival. Carrots carry beta-carotene, which can also become vitamin A. The orange glow of a carrot is one of the clearest examples of nourishment and color sharing the same stage. That vivid pigment comes largely from beta-carotene, a compound plants use in their own tissues, and one that the human body can convert into vitamin A when needed. This gives the carrot a dual story. In the plant, the pigment belongs to the machinery of growth and light management. In the body, it becomes raw material for vision, immunity, and the maintenance of surfaces such as skin and linings. The conversion itself is part of the wonder. A molecule made by a root beneath the soil can become part of how an animal sees the world. It is a reminder that food is not just fuel. It is chemistry crossing kingdoms, from plant function into human function. A carrot may seem humble, but hidden in its color is a partnership between sunlight, soil, and sight. Dark chocolate contains antioxidant compounds from cocoa flavanols. The story of chocolate becomes much more interesting when you trace it back to the cocoa bean. Before sugar, milk, and wrappers, there was a tropical seed packed with bitter, complex plant chemicals, including flavanols that help defend the bean in its original setting. Some of those compounds remain in dark chocolate, especially when the cocoa content is higher and the processing is less aggressive. That is part of what gives good dark chocolate its depth, that slight bitterness, that dry edge, that layered intensity, which feels so different from a simple sweet. You are tasting more than indulgence. You are tasting some of the plant's original chemistry. The fact that this survives the journey from bean to bar makes chocolate feel almost magical, as though pleasure and protective chemistry briefly overlap. It also explains why not all chocolate tells the same story. The darker forms carry more of the bean's original character, and with it, more of the chemical intrigue. Green tea is famous for catechins that help neutralize reactive molecules. A cup of green tea can seem almost too simple to hold much mystery. Hot water, leaves, a little bitterness, a little steam. Yet inside those leaves are catechins, a family of compounds that plants build as part of their own defense. What makes green tea especially interesting is that the leaves are processed in a way that preserves more of these chemicals than darker teas made from the same plant. That means the drink carries more of the leaf's original character, sharp, fresh, and chemically alive. The flavor tells part of the story. That slight dryness on the tongue is not accidental. It is the taste of plant compounds interacting with the body. Across centuries, people treasured the drink for alertness and ritual, long before anyone could describe the molecules involved. Now we know a little more, and the cup feels richer for it. You are not just drinking warmth. You are sipping preserved leaf chemistry from a living defense system. Coffee is one of many people's biggest antioxidant sources. For many people, one of the largest daily contributions to this topic does not come from berries, greens, or dark chocolate. It comes from a mug. Coffee is rich in plant compounds formed in the bean and transformed further during roasting. That means a morning cup can deliver far more than caffeine. It can also bring chlorogenic acids and other molecules shaped by the life of the plant and the heat of preparation. This is part of what makes coffee so surprising. Something woven deeply into habit and routine turns out to be chemically complex in ways most drinkers never suspect. The aroma alone hints at that complexity because hundreds of compounds rise from the cup together. Even the roast changes the profile, shifting flavor and chemistry at once. So the next time coffee fills a room, it is worth remembering that the familiar drink is not just a wake-up ritual. It is also one of the quietest ways plant chemistry enters modern life every day. Herbs and spices can pack remarkable antioxidant power into tiny amounts. One of the most delightful truths in this subject is that potency does not always arrive in large, dramatic servings. Sometimes it comes in pinches. Herbs and spices are concentrated pieces of plants, often made from leaves, bark, seeds, roots, or flower buds, and they can carry intense chemical defenses because those parts must survive insects, microbes, sunlight, and storage. That is why tiny amounts can have such force in both flavor and chemistry. A scattering of rosemary, a little turmeric, a dusting of paprika, and suddenly the food is carrying a far richer plant signature than its size suggests. The kitchen begins to look less like a place of seasoning and more like a shelf of dried botanical strategies. What feels like simple taste is often the plant's original survival toolkit, preserved and concentrated. It is wonderful to think that some of the smallest gestures in cooking, a pinch between fingers, a twist of a grinder, can introduce such surprisingly powerful chemistry. Cloves, cinnamon, and oregano are chemical treasure chests for plants. These familiar names can sound almost domestic, linked to biscuits, sauces, or herb jars on a kitchen shelf. Yet in the life of the plant, they are anything but mild. Cloves are flower buds loaded with intense compounds that discourage pests and microbes. Cinnamon is bark, the outer defense of a tree, rich with molecules that help protect living tissue beneath. Oregano is a leaf built to withstand sun, grazing, and attack. Once you see them that way, their boldness makes perfect sense. Their aromas are not accidents. Their sharpness, warmth, and bitterness are part of a defensive language evolved over time. That is why they feel so vivid in food. You are not tasting bland storage tissue. You are tasting a plant part that had to matter. In a way, every spice jar is a little vault of concentrated botanical strategy. The ordinary act of shaking oregano over dinner hides a much older story of defense, survival, and chemical invention. Nuts and seeds bring antioxidants alongside healthy fats and minerals. Nuts and seeds are remarkable because they are not merely plant fragments. They are future plants, tightly packed bundles of stored energy and survival potential. Each one carries fats, minerals, proteins, and protective compounds arranged to support the earliest stages of growth. That makes them chemically rich in a very different way from leaves or fruits. Their fats are valuable, but also vulnerable, which means they need built-in defenses to help preserve those oils. while the seed waits for the right conditions to sprout. This is one reason they can contribute such an interesting mix to the diet. You are eating stored life, compact and purposeful. An almond, a sunflower seed, or a walnut is a structure designed to endure time, weather, and uncertainty, then suddenly begin building a new organism. The fact that such a small package can hold energy, trace minerals, and protective chemistry all at once makes these foods feel almost architectural, like tiny vaults engineered by evolution. Whole grains carry antioxidant compounds far beyond their fiber alone. Whole grains are often praised for fiber, and that praise is deserved. But it can hide a more interesting truth. The outer layers of a grain, the bran and germ that are often stripped away in refinement, also contain a wide range of protective compounds built by the seed itself. Those layers are not just roughage. They are part of the grain's shield, the tissues that protect the dormant embryo inside from stress, light, microbes, and time. That means a whole grain keeps more of the seed's original chemistry intact. Oats, barley, wheat, brown rice, and other grains each carry their own profile, with subtle differences in the compounds tucked into those outer layers. Once you think of a grain as a seed rather than a starch, it becomes much more fascinating. You are not just eating fuel. You are eating a preserved beginning, wrapped in protective tissues that help the plant survive long enough to reproduce. Beans quietly deliver antioxidants, while most people praise only their protein. Beans have a reputation for being sensible, practical, and sturdy. They are praised for protein, fiber, and their ability to make a meal more filling. All of that is true, but it often leaves out another layer of their appeal. Beans are seeds, and like many seeds, they carry protective compounds in their skins and inner tissues. Darker varieties can be especially rich in pigments and polyphenols, which means a bowl of black beans or red kidney beans contains more chemical intrigue than most people imagine. Their value is not loud. It arrives without glamour, folded into stews, soups, and everyday dishes. That may be part of why it is so easy to overlook. Yet hidden inside these humble foods is a survival design, refined over generations. A seed has to defend itself while it waits, and that defense becomes part of what we eat. Beans are not only economical and nourishing, they are little capsules of patient plant chemistry. Olive oil contains antioxidant compounds that help protect the oil itself. Olive oil feels ancient in a way few foods do. It carries sunlight, fruit, pressing, and time in a single liquid. What makes it especially fascinating is that some of its valuable compounds are there not just for us, but for the oil itself. Oils are vulnerable to oxidation, which means the fruit benefits from having compounds that help protect its fatty contents from breaking down too quickly. When olives are harvested and pressed well, some of those compounds make it into the final oil, contributing to its bitterness, peppery finish, and stability. That slight sting at the back of the throat in a good extra virgin olive oil is part of the story. It is the taste of active chemistry. So the pleasure of dipping bread into fresh oil or finishing vegetables with it is not only culinary. It is also a meeting with the fruit's own strategy for preserving itself. Flavor and protection arrive together, dissolved in gold-green light. Freshness matters because some antioxidant compounds fade with time and storage. Plant foods do not freeze themselves in perfection the moment they are picked. From harvest onward, they continue to change. Light, heat, oxygen, and time all begin nudging their chemistry in new directions. Some protective compounds hold up well. Others slowly fade, break apart, or shift into less active forms during storage. This is part of what makes freshness feel more than just a culinary luxury. It can be a chemical advantage. A recently picked herb, a newly opened bottle of oil, or a fruit eaten close to ripeness may carry a livelier profile than one that has sat too long under warm light or moving air. That does not mean older food is worthless, because plenty of value remains. But it does mean plants are dynamic, not fixed. Their chemistry continues to evolve after harvest. Every basket, shelf, and pantry becomes part of the story. Food keeps living a little, and its protective chemistry changes with the life it has left. Cooking can lower some antioxidants, but unlock others surprisingly well. Heat seems like it should always destroy something delicate, and sometimes it does. Certain compounds are reduced by long cooking, especially when exposed to water, air, and high temperatures together. Yet the story refuses to stay simple, because heat can also soften cell walls, release tightly held pigments, and make some compounds easier for the body to absorb. This is one of the most refreshing truths in nutrition. It breaks the childish idea that raw is always best and cooked is always worse. A tomato sauce, a sautéed green, or a roasted vegetable may lose one set of qualities and gain another. Cooking becomes less a matter of purity and more a matter of transformation. What comes out of the pan is not just diminished or improved, it is changed. That makes the kitchen feel almost like a laboratory, though a far more delicious one. The plant enters with one chemical profile and leaves with another, shaped by heat, water, time, and fat. Heat can make tomato lycopene easier for your body to use. A raw tomato is already a marvel, full of color and chemistry built under sunlight. Yet when that tomato is cooked, something remarkable can happen. Heat begins loosening the structures that hold lycopene within the fruit's tissues, which can make it easier for the body to access. Add a little oil and the effect can become even more useful, because this red pigment is more comfortable traveling with fat than with water alone. Suddenly, a simmering sauce starts to look like a lesson in chemistry, rather than just dinner. The fruit is changing state. Cell walls soften. Pigments shift from being locked inside firm tissue to becoming more available. It is one of the best examples of how cooking can deepen value rather than reduce it. A long, slow tomato sauce feels ancient and comforting, yet inside it is a highly sophisticated transformation. Time, heat, and oil join forces, and the tomato becomes more than the sum of its raw beginnings. Freezing fruit can preserve many antioxidant compounds remarkably well. Freezing can sound harsh, almost like a last resort for food past its prime. But for many fruits, it is one of the best ways to hold on to important compounds once ripeness has been reached. The reason is simple and elegant. Low temperatures slow the reactions that gradually alter flavor, color, and protective chemistry after harvest. If fruit is frozen quickly, much of what mattered at that moment can be preserved surprisingly well. That is why frozen berries can still be such an excellent choice long after their fresh season has passed. In a sense, freezing places the fruit in suspended time. It does not keep everything perfect, because texture can change and some losses still occur, but it can protect far more than people assume. A bag of frozen cherries or blueberries is not a poor imitation of the fresh thing. It is a snapshot, held in cold storage, of fruit chemistry captured close to its peak. Cutting an apple exposes it to oxidation before your eyes. Few examples make this subject feel more immediate than a sliced apple left on the counter. At first, the flesh looks pale and crisp. Then slowly, almost theatrically, the surface begins to darken. What you are watching is oxidation made visible. Cutting breaks open cells and allows enzymes inside the fruit to meet oxygen in the air, starting reactions that produce brown pigments. It is a small domestic drama, but it reveals something profound. The chemistry of change is always waiting. All it takes is exposure, time, and the right ingredients meeting at last. That is why this simple browning matters so much. It turns an abstract idea into something anyone can witness in minutes. The apple becomes a tiny demonstration of what oxygen can do to living tissue once barriers are breached. In that brief transformation, a kitchen counter becomes a classroom. The fruit is no longer just food. It is a visible performance of oxidation unfolding in real time. Browning fruit is a visible reminder of chemistry happening everywhere. Once you notice it in an apple, you begin to see it everywhere. Bananas darken. Avocados lose their bright green. Pears, potatoes, and many other plant tissues change once cut and exposed. These shifts are not random flaws. They are evidence that life is made of reactive chemistry, always poised to move when cells are broken and oxygen gains access. That is what makes browning so strangely captivating. It is ordinary, but also deeply revealing. Behind the kitchen annoyance is a glimpse of the same broad principle that shapes aging, spoilage, and countless cellular reactions. A fruit turning brown becomes a messenger from the invisible world, showing how molecules reorganize themselves once protective compartments are lost. Even the speed of the change can be dramatic, which gives the process a kind of urgency. You are seeing time made visible on the surface of food. The world is not still. It is constantly reacting, transforming, and slipping from one state into another. Antioxidants help slow chain reactions that would otherwise spread damage. One of the most dangerous features of oxidation is that it can multiply. A single reactive hit may not stay single for long. In certain settings, especially where delicate fats are involved, one damaged molecule can trigger the next, and then the next again, creating a cascade that moves through tissue like falling dominoes. This is why antioxidants matter so much. They do not only stop individual attacks, they can interrupt the sequence itself. That changes everything. A brief chemical event that might have spread into broader damage is halted before it gains momentum. The image to hold in mind is not a lone rescue, but a firebreak cut through a dry landscape. A spark lands, but the spread is contained. That ability to stop propagation is one of the great protective feats of living chemistry. It means the body is not merely reacting after harm occurs. It is actively preventing small disturbances from turning into long, destructive stories. Cell membranes need special protection because fats are easy oxidation targets. Every cell is wrapped in a membrane so thin it is almost beyond imagination, yet so important that life cannot exist without it. This boundary decides what enters, what leaves, and how the cell senses its surroundings. Much of that membrane is built from fats, which makes it flexible and functional, but also vulnerable. Fats are especially prone to oxidation, and once one lipid is damaged, nearby lipids can be drawn into the same reaction. That is why membranes need such careful guarding. The problem is not only structural. A damaged membrane can alter signaling, transport, and the cell's ability to maintain its internal balance. In other words, oxidation at the edge can disturb everything within. This is what makes membrane protection so fascinating. Life chose a material that is wonderfully useful and inherently risky, then built a whole network of defenders around it. The cell's outer wall is not stone. It is living fat, and it must be protected with extraordinary care. Your eyes face constant oxidative stress from light exposure. The eyes live in a uniquely demanding world. Their job is to receive light, focus it, and convert it into electrical signals the brain can understand. Yet light itself can drive reactive chemistry, which means the very thing the eye depends on is also a source of stress. Add to that the high metabolic activity of retinal tissue and the presence of delicate fats, and the challenge becomes even greater. Vision is not only a miracle of optics, It is a triumph of protection. The eye must remain transparent in some places, light-sensitive in others, and chemically stable throughout. That requires pigments, enzymes, nutrients, and finely tuned defenses working constantly behind the scenes. The wonder is that we do not feel any of this effort. We simply open our eyes and see. All day long, the tissues that let us watch faces, clouds, books, and stars are managing the costs of being exposed to light without ever asking for our attention. The lens of the eye depends on antioxidant systems to stay clear. The lens has one extraordinary job. It must remain clear enough to let light pass cleanly toward the retina, while still being structured enough to bend that light with precision. That clarity is fragile. The proteins packed inside the lens must hold their arrangement for years and years, often for decades, under repeated exposure to light and the ongoing chemistry of life. Oxidative damage can disturb that arrangement, causing proteins to clump or change in ways that cloud transparency. This is why internal protection matters so much here. The lens relies on a steady supply of defense and repair to preserve its remarkable order. It is almost like maintaining a perfectly transparent sculpture inside the body, one that cannot be replaced casually and must continue functioning every day. The deeper you think about it, the more astonishing it becomes. Seeing clearly is not just a matter of opening your eyes. It is the result of a long chemical truce maintained within a tiny, living window. The brain uses enormous amounts of oxygen and needs antioxidant protection. The brain is only a small fraction of body weight, yet it consumes a striking share of the body's oxygen and energy. That hunger reflects how active it is. Even in stillness, billions of neurons are maintaining electrical gradients, sending signals, and managing communication. But intense oxygen use carries a cost. More oxygen moving through active tissue means more chances for reactive byproducts to appear, and the brain is especially ill-suited to careless damage. Its cells are highly specialized, its membranes are rich in delicate fats, and many of its most important structures cannot simply be replaced with ease. This gives the brain a special vulnerability that matches its brilliance. Thought itself depends on chemistry that must be both energetic and tightly controlled. Behind every memory, idea, and sensation is a tissue burning fuel at extraordinary rates while trying to preserve its own fine structure. Intelligence, in a very literal sense, depends on protection from the sparks of its own activity. The immune system uses oxidants as weapons, then antioxidants restore order. One of the most dramatic twists in this whole subject is that the body does not treat oxidants as enemies alone. In the immune system, certain cells deliberately produce highly reactive molecules as weapons against invading microbes. It is a brilliant and dangerous tactic. The chemistry is powerful enough to damage bacterial membranes, proteins, and genetic material, helping the body destroy threats quickly. But there is an obvious problem. Once the battle is underway, those same chemicals can harm surrounding tissues if they are not brought back under control. That is where the balancing side of the story becomes so important. After the attack, defenses must contain the fallout and help restore normal conditions. The body is not choosing between war and peace. It is managing both in sequence. This is what makes immunity so fascinating. Protection can require destruction first, then repair. At the microscopic level, the body fights like a fire and recovers like a careful gardener tending the ground afterward. Inflammation and oxidation often travel together in the body. When the body senses trouble, whether from injury, infection, or irritation, inflammation rises as part of the response. Blood flow changes. Immune cells arrive. Signals spread through the tissue, calling for action. At the same time, oxidative chemistry often intensifies. Reactive molecules are produced in greater amounts, partly to help fight threats, and partly because stressed cells begin operating under strain. This is why the two processes so often appear side by side. One stirs the system into action, and the other becomes woven into the battle itself. What makes this so fascinating is that neither process is simply bad. Both can be useful, even necessary, in the right moment. But when they linger too long, they begin feeding into one another. The tissue never quite returns to ease. A short emergency becomes a longer disturbance. In that sense, inflammation and oxidation can behave like two winds driving the same fire, each helping the other stay alight. Exercise boosts antioxidant defenses over time by training your cells. A single workout can strain the body in obvious ways. Muscles tire. Breathing deepens. Heat rises. Beneath those sensations, something quieter begins as well. Cells register the increased demand and the chemical byproducts that come with it, then start adapting. Over time, repeated movement teaches the body to strengthen its own internal defenses. Enzymes involved in protection can increase. Energy systems become more efficient. Tissues learn to handle effort with less chaos than before. This is one of the most uplifting ideas in all of physiology. The body does not merely endure challenge. It studies it. A hill climb today becomes easier months from now, not only because muscles have grown stronger, but because cells have become better prepared for the chemistry of effort itself. Training, then, is not just about power or endurance. It is also about resilience at the molecular level. Every repeated walk, run, ride, or lift becomes a lesson the body quietly remembers and builds upon. Too many antioxidant supplements may blunt useful training signals from exercise. The idea sounds sensible at first. Exercise creates reactive molecules, so taking large doses of isolated antioxidants should surely make training even healthier. Yet the body does not always reward that kind of simplification. Some of the chemical changes triggered by exercise act as signals that tell cells to adapt, strengthen, and build better defenses for the future. If those signals are muted too heavily, part of the training message may be softened as well. This is what makes the subject so interesting. Not every spark should be extinguished. Some are carrying instructions. The body is listening to stress, translating it into growth, and learning from the disturbance. That does not mean all supplements are harmful or that protection is unimportant. It means biology is subtler than a simple war against oxidation. In certain contexts, too much interference can rob the body of a useful lesson. Sometimes adaptation depends on allowing the message of effort to be heard clearly before calm is restored. Oxidative stress is harmful, but some reactive molecules are essential messengers. The phrase oxidative stress can make it sound as though all reactive molecules are villains, little agents of damage roaming the body unchecked. But that picture is incomplete. In carefully controlled amounts, some of these same molecules act as signals. They help cells sense challenge, adjust metabolism, regulate growth, and coordinate responses to changing conditions. This is one of the deepest turns in the whole story. The chemistry that can injure tissue when excessive can also guide tissue when restrained. It is a little like fire. Uncontrolled, it destroys. Carefully contained, it cooks food, warms homes, and powers industry. Cells rely on that same principle. Small bursts of reactivity can announce that effort is rising, that nutrients are present, or that defenses need strengthening. The danger comes when the message becomes overwhelming and the signal turns into harm. So the body is not trying to eliminate all reactive chemistry. It is trying to keep it in proportion, useful enough to inform, limited enough not to injure. Antioxidants do not erase all oxidation, and that is a good thing. It can be tempting to imagine ideal health as a state where oxidation disappears entirely, where every reactive molecule is instantly removed and nothing unstable is ever allowed to form. But life does not work that way, and it would not function well if it did. The body needs a certain amount of oxidative activity for communication, defense, and adaptation. Protective systems exist not to wipe the slate perfectly clean, but to keep reactions from spilling too far beyond their purpose. That distinction matters. The goal is not silence. It is harmony. Cells are not asking for an impossible world without disturbance. They are asking for a world where disturbance remains useful and contained. This makes antioxidant biology feel wiser and more nuanced than the language around it often suggests. Protection is not annihilation. It is regulation. It is the art of allowing just enough chemistry to let life speak, fight, and adjust, while preventing that same chemistry from tearing through the structures that make living possible. Life depends on controlled oxidation just as much as protection from it. From the first moment oxygen became central to complex life, living systems had to master a strange bargain. Oxidation offered extraordinary power. It allowed organisms to pull far more energy from food and fuel far more complex bodies. Yet it also introduced constant chemical danger. Life's answer was not rejection. It was control. That is what makes this balance so profound. Every heartbeat, every thought, every contraction of muscle depends on chemistry that would be dangerous without careful management. Protection alone would not be enough, because without oxidation, there would be no large-scale energy economy to sustain complex tissues. That oxidation alone would be catastrophic, because the machinery of life would be damaged by its own fuel source. So existence rests on a narrow path between use and restraint. In a very real sense, life is not just protected from oxidation. It is built around it. The same force that threatens order also makes higher order possible in the first place. Aging is linked to oxidative damage, but the story is not simple. For a long time, it was tempting to tell a neat story about aging. We breathe, live, accumulate oxidative damage, and slowly wear down like machines left running for decades. There is truth in that picture, but only part of it. Researchers have found that aging involves many interacting processes, including inflammation, altered signaling, mitochondrial change, DNA repair, cellular senescence, and shifting communication between tissues. Oxidative damage is woven into that tapestry, yet it is not the lone author of the outcome. This makes the subject more challenging, but also far more interesting. Aging is not one clock ticking in isolation. It is many systems drifting, compensating, and gradually losing coordination together. Reactive chemistry may push on that process, but it does so alongside many other forces. The body is not simply rusting. It is undergoing a complex, long negotiation between maintenance, stress, repair, and time. That richer picture feels less tidy, yet much closer to the astonishing truth of living longer. Antioxidants were once hailed as miracle molecules, then reality got subtler. There was a time when these compounds seemed poised to become nutritional legends. Headlines hinted that they might slow aging, prevent disease, and protect nearly every system in the body. The appeal was irresistible. The science sounded elegant. Oxidation causes damage, so antioxidants must be the answer. But as more careful research accumulated, the story became less dramatic and much more nuanced. Some early excitement was based on test tubes, broad associations, or hopeful interpretation rather than the full complexity of living bodies. That does not make the original enthusiasm foolish. It makes it human. We love clear heroes. Yet biology often resists that kind of storytelling. The real picture that emerged was subtler and more interesting. These compounds matter, but they work in context. They interact with diet, tissue type, timing, dosage, and the body's own signaling systems. The fall from miracle status was not a failure of the subject. It was a reminder that living chemistry rarely submits to simple myths. Large supplement trials often failed to match the promise of antioxidant headlines. When researchers began testing antioxidant supplements in large groups of people, many expected clear benefits to appear. If oxidative damage mattered so much, then concentrated pills should surely produce dramatic improvements. Yet again and again, results proved mixed, disappointing, or simply far less exciting than the headlines had led people to expect. This gap between promise and outcome is one of the most revealing moments in the whole history of the topic. It showed that what works in a lab dish or what sounds logical in theory does not always behave the same way in a full human life. Bodies are not simple containers waiting to be topped up with a single solution. They are networks, timing systems, and layered feedback loops. Large trials forced that truth into view. The body did not reward reductionism as generously as people hoped. Instead, it revealed something more humbling. The chemistry of health is not easily captured in one capsule or one easy promise. Food-based antioxidants usually outperform the fantasy of one magic pill. A meal is never just a delivery system for one celebrated compound. It brings mixtures, textures, fats, fibers, sugars, minerals, and thousands of lesser-known plant chemicals arriving together in forms shaped by growth, harvest, and cooking. That complexity turns out to matter. Foods create combinations that can support absorption, influence signaling, and work across different tissues in ways a single isolated pill may not reproduce. This is why the fantasy of one magic antioxidant supplement has struggled for so long. It asks biology to behave like a simple machine when it is anything but. A tomato is not lycopene alone. Tea is not catechins alone. Berries are not anthocyanins alone. Real foods are crowded little ecosystems of chemistry. The deeper you look, the more elegant that becomes. Nature rarely sends one lone hero. It sends ensembles. So the advantage of eating varied plant foods may not lie in one star molecule at all, but in the quiet collaboration of many arriving together as they evolved. Plants offer antioxidant networks, not isolated chemical superheroes. When people talk about plant foods, they often latch onto one famous compound, as if that single molecule explains the whole value of the food. But a plant is not built that way. Inside leaves, fruits, roots, and seeds, protective chemistry comes in layers. Pigments, polyphenols, vitamins, sulfur compounds, and countless other molecules sit side by side, shaped by the same environmental pressures and often interacting within the same tissues. What this means is that a plant does not rely on one lone defender. It relies on a network, much like the body does. A blueberry, a cabbage leaf, or a clove of garlic is not carrying one superhero. It is carrying a team. That idea is far more beautiful than the simplified version. It makes every plant food feel like a coordinated response to sunlight, insects, drought, and time. When we eat these foods, we take in that complexity. We do not inherit one trick. We inherit part of an entire botanical defense strategy. Different antioxidants protect different parts of the same cell. A cell may look simple in a diagram, but inside it lies a world of compartments, surfaces, fluids, and delicate machinery. The watery interior is different from the fatty membrane. The mitochondria present one kind of challenge. The nucleus presents another. This is why protection cannot be generic. Different defenders are suited to different chemical neighborhoods, and the cell relies on that specificity to stay intact. Some compounds move through fluid regions with ease. Others settle where fats are dense. Some work best near energy-producing structures. Others help preserve proteins or support repair in still more specialized ways. What makes this so fascinating is that one microscopic cell contains a whole geography of risk. It is not protected by a blanket spread evenly across everything. It is protected by careful placement. Life has organized its defenses down to the level of location. Even within a single cell, survival depends on knowing exactly where the trouble is most likely to appear and stationing help there in advance. Water-soluble antioxidants patrol blood and cell fluid more easily. Some protective molecules are especially comfortable in the watery spaces of the body. They move through blood plasma, cell fluid, and other liquid environments where certain reactive compounds are most likely to appear. This gives them a distinct role. They are not anchored into membranes or oily tissues. Instead, they travel the body's internal currents, intercepting threats in places where water dominates the chemistry. The image is almost nautical. These compounds drift through rivers of plasma and pools of cellular fluid, ready to step in when instability appears. Their mobility is part of their usefulness. A watery environment demands defenders that can dissolve, circulate, and respond quickly. This reminds us that the body is not one texture. It contains whole chemical worlds, and each world needs its own style of protection. In blood and cytoplasm, these more mobile defenders help preserve the fluid stage on which so much of life's chemistry unfolds, from transport and signaling to the simple maintenance of the cell's internal balance. Fat-soluble antioxidants guard membranes, lipoproteins, and fatty tissues. Not all danger unfolds in water. Some of the most vulnerable chemistry in the body happens where fats gather, in cell membranes, fatty tissues, and the lipoprotein particles that ferry lipids through the bloodstream. These places require a different kind of protection. A water-loving molecule would not settle there effectively, so the body also depends on defenders that dissolve comfortably into oily environments. Their role is wonderfully precise. They position themselves within the very structures most at risk, ready to interrupt oxidation where it begins. This matters because fats are both useful and fragile. They form barriers, store energy, and participate in signaling, yet they are also eager participants in damaging chain reactions if left exposed. The body solves that problem not by avoiding fats, but by protecting them from within. It builds guards suited to their world. In the hidden, oil-rich corners of biology, survival depends on molecules that can live there and hold the line where water-based defenders cannot. Selenium supports antioxidant enzymes without acting exactly like a vitamin. Selenium is one of those nutrients that rarely becomes the star of public conversation, yet it plays a role of extraordinary precision. It is needed in tiny amounts, and instead of acting like a classic antioxidant that directly mops up reactive molecules, it becomes part of certain enzymes that do protective work. In that sense, it functions more like a crucial component in a finely crafted tool. Without it, the tool cannot perform properly. This makes selenium feel almost jewel-like in biology, small in quantity but essential in effect. Some of the body's important protective enzymes rely on it to help manage peroxide-related chemistry and maintain balance in tissues. The scale is part of the wonder. A trace mineral, present in amounts almost too small to imagine, can help determine whether powerful defense systems are functioning as they should. It is a reminder that the body's chemistry is not driven only by the obvious. Sometimes the quietest ingredients hold up entire systems. Minerals can help antioxidant systems even when they are not antioxidants themselves. One of the most revealing truths in this subject is that support does not always look like direct action. Some minerals are not antioxidants in the popular sense. They do not simply step forward and neutralize unstable molecules on their own. Instead, they help build the enzymes and structures that make protection possible. Copper, zinc, manganese, selenium, and others can serve as essential parts of defensive proteins, allowing those proteins to function with speed and accuracy. That means protection is not only about famous vitamins or colorful plant compounds. It is also about the hidden architecture that lets the system work at all. This is what makes the body feel so much like an orchestra. Not every player carries the melody, yet the performance would fail without them. Minerals can occupy those supporting seats, quiet but indispensable. They remind us that health often depends on cooperation between very different kinds of molecules, some acting directly, some making the direct actors possible in the first place. Uric acid acts as an antioxidant, even though it has a bad reputation. Uric acid is usually mentioned in connection with problems, especially gout, where excessive amounts can crystallize painfully in joints. That reputation is so strong that it can be surprising to learn it also has a protective side. In the bloodstream, this compound can act as an antioxidant, helping neutralize certain reactive species and contributing to the overall defensive capacity of the plasma. This is one of those facts that makes biology feel gloriously resistant to simple labels. A substance can be helpful in one context and harmful in another. It can belong to both protection and disease, depending on level, location, and circumstance. That duality is not a flaw in the system. It is part of how living chemistry works. The body is full of compounds that refuse to stay in one moral category. Uric acid is a perfect example. It reminds us that the difference between ally and burden is often not identity, but balance. Bilirubin can be protective in tiny amounts despite its alarming origin. Bilirubin begins with breakdown. It is produced when the body dismantles old red blood cells and processes the heme that once helped carry oxygen through the blood. Because it is associated with bruising, jaundice, and illness when levels rise too high, the name can sound ominous. Yet in small amounts, it may also play a protective role, acting as an antioxidant in the body's chemical landscape. This is one of the strangest and most elegant reversals in the subject. A compound born from cellular retirement, from the dismantling of worn-out parts, can become part of the system that protects living tissue. The body wastes very little. Even in the act of recycling its own blood, it creates byproducts that may still have use. That gives bilirubin a strangely poetic place in biology. It arrives from endings, yet contributes to preservation. Out of breakdown comes one more layer of defense, hidden within the body's constant work of renewal and cleanup. Your body can turn stress into defense by making more protective enzymes. One of the most astonishing features of life is that it does not simply endure challenge. It often answers challenge by becoming more prepared for the next one. When cells detect manageable stress, whether from exercise, fasting, temperature shifts, or certain plant compounds, they can respond by increasing the production of protective enzymes. This means the body is not always reacting after damage alone. It is learning from pressure and upgrading its defenses in anticipation. The idea feels almost strategic. A mild challenge becomes a rehearsal. The body notices the disturbance, strengthens its internal systems, and emerges better equipped than before. This is one reason some forms of stress can be beneficial in the right amount. They push the system to adapt rather than collapse. What makes it so captivating is the reversal of expectation. Stress is not always the opposite of protection. Sometimes it is the reason protection grows stronger. The body can turn difficulty into preparation, chemistry into memory, and strain into resilience. Antioxidant genes can switch on when cells sense rising danger. Cells are not only bags of chemicals drifting helplessly through stress. They are responsive systems able to detect shifts in their environment and alter their behavior. When reactive chemistry begins to rise, certain pathways can activate genes involved in defense, detoxification, and repair. This means the cell can sense danger and begin rewriting part of its own response in real time. That is an extraordinary thought. Hidden inside every cell is not just a passive toolkit, but a responsive script waiting for the right cue. Threat appears, and the genome helps call in reinforcements. Enzymes are produced. Protective proteins rise. The whole defensive tone of the cell can shift. The process feels almost like an alarm system crossed with a factory, detection leading directly to new production. It reveals a deeper level of intelligence in ordinary biology. The cell is not merely surviving the chemical world around it. It is listening, interpreting, and changing itself to meet that world more effectively. Sulforaphane from broccoli helps trigger the body's internal defense pathways. Broccoli is often treated like a dutiful side dish, something eaten because it is supposed to be good for you. Yet inside its tissues sits a remarkable chemical system with real drama built into it. When the plant is chopped, chewed, or otherwise damaged, compounds that were kept apart suddenly meet and form sulforaphane. In the plant, that chemistry is part of defense. In the body, it has attracted intense interest because it can help switch on pathways involved in protection and detoxification. That means the value of broccoli is not only in what it contains, but in what it can persuade your own cells to do. The vegetable becomes less like a container of nutrients and more like a messenger. Its chemistry arrives, the body reads the signal, and internal defenses begin to stir. It is astonishing that a humble crucifer can act almost like a coded note from the plant world, nudging human biology toward greater readiness. Garlic contains sulfur compounds tied to antioxidant activity and defense. A clove of garlic begins quietly enough, pale, firm, almost plain. Then you crush it, and suddenly the room changes. That sharp aroma is the sounder's signature of chemistry springing to life. Garlic stores certain compounds in separated forms, and when the tissue is damaged, they react to create sulfur-rich molecules that help defend the plant against attack. Those same compounds are one reason garlic has fascinated cooks and healers for so long. Its power is not imaginary. It lives in its volatility, its pungency, its ability to transform the air the moment it is cut. That intensity is the clue. The plant built a system meant to matter when threatened, and humans learn to fold that chemistry into food. The result is more than flavor. It is a reminder that some of the most memorable ingredients on Earth earn their character under pressure. Garlic does not whisper its chemistry. It announces it with force, heat, and unmistakable presence. Turmeric's famous curcumin is studied for both antioxidant and signaling effects. Turmeric seems to carry sunlight in powdered form. Its deep golden color feels almost ceremonial, staining spoons, simmering into curries, and leaving traces wherever it goes. Much of the attention around it centers on curcumin, a compound that has drawn scientific interest not only for antioxidant behavior, but also for the way it may influence cellular signaling. That combination is part of what makes turmeric so intriguing. It suggests a substance can participate in more than one layer of the body's chemistry at once. It may act directly in some contexts, while in others it may shift how cells respond to stress or inflammation. This is one reason it has inspired such enduring fascination. The spice feels both ancient and modern, woven into old cooking traditions, while also being examined in contemporary laboratories. The pinch of that brilliant powder holds more than color and earthiness. It holds a story about how plants create compounds that can speak to human biology in several dialects at once. Red cabbage hides striking antioxidant chemistry beneath ordinary dinner status. Red cabbage rarely receives the admiration given to berries or exotic superfoods, yet it may be one of the most underappreciated spectacles in the produce aisle. Its leaves hold anthocyanin pigments that create rich purples, reds, and blues, and those pigments are part of a larger defensive chemistry shaped by light and stress. Slice into a head of red cabbage and the geometry alone is mesmerizing. Tight spirals of color layered like living stained glass. Then cook it or add acid, and the colors can shift before your eyes, revealing just how sensitive and dynamic those pigments are. Suddenly, the vegetable stops feeling ordinary. It becomes a lesson in chemistry, structure, and survival. The same compounds that help give the leaves their bold hue are also part of the reason the plant can endure the world around it. At the dinner table, it may seem humble. Under the surface, it is a beautifully organized archive of plant defense and color. Purple sweet potatoes owe their color to protective plant pigments. A purple sweet potato looks almost unreal when cut open, as though someone painted its flesh with the colors of twilight. That vivid hue comes from anthocyanin pigments, compounds plants often use as part of their defense against light stress and other environmental challenges. In this case, the ordinary idea of a root vegetable begins to feel much stranger and more wonderful. Buried underground, out of sight, it stores not only energy for future growth, but also a striking chemistry of color. When baked, mashed, or roasted, the purple deepens into something almost luminous, turning a familiar food into a kind of edible surprise. The contrast is part of the appeal. On the outside, modest and earthy. On the inside, a flood of pigments with a long evolutionary history. It reminds us that plants do not reserve their most interesting chemistry only for fruits and flowers. Sometimes they hide it in the soil, waiting until the knife reveals it. Pomegranate seeds carry polyphenols that help the fruit survive and reproduce. Few fruits feel as mythic as a pomegranate. Crack one open, and it is not like slicing an apple or peeling a banana. It is like opening a jewel box. Dozens upon dozens of ruby seeds glisten inside, each one wrapped in vivid color and tart intensity. That richness is not just for beauty. The fruit's chemistry helps protect those seeds as they mature, defend the tissues around them, and attract the animals that will help spread the next generation. Its polyphenols are part of that strategy. They contribute to the deep taste, the astringency, and the remarkable stability of the fruit's vivid interior. What makes pomegranate so fascinating is that it feels engineered for drama. It hides its treasures behind thick skin, then reveals them in a burst of color and chemistry designed to matter. Every spoonful carries a reproductive plan in edible form, where defense, attraction, and survival have been packed into one of the most striking fruits on Earth. Grapes protect themselves with resveratrol and many other defensive compounds. A grape may seem delicate, but it lives a surprisingly defended life. Its skin stands between the juicy interior and a world of fungi, sunlight, insects, and weather. And to survive that exposure, the fruit builds a range of protective chemicals. Resveratrol became famous because it captured the imagination, yet it is only one part of a much larger story. Grapes carry an entire library of compounds in their skins, seeds, and flesh, each shaped by the pressures of ripening in open air. This is part of why grapes can feel so different from one variety to another. Color, bitterness, sweetness, and complexity all reflect chemistry working on several levels at once. The fruit is not simply ripening toward sweetness. It is balancing attraction and defense, inviting animals to eat it while also protecting itself long enough to finish developing. In every bunch of grapes lies a quiet chemical negotiation between vulnerability and survival, sweetness and strategy. The same compounds that defend plants can influence human cell chemistry. One of the most astonishing ideas in all of nutrition is that chemicals evolved for plant survival can end up affecting human biology. A leaf builds compounds to cope with sunlight. A seed creates defenses against microbes. A fruit's skin develops pigments and polyphenols to manage stress and protect ripening tissues. Then humans eat those plants, and some of the same compounds interact with our cells in ways that may influence signaling, defense, or metabolism. It feels almost like cross-kingdom conversation. Plants did not evolve these molecules for us. They evolved them for themselves. Yet over time, animals became entangled with that chemistry through diet. The result is one of nature's great unexpected partnerships. Our bodies can respond to molecules that originated as part of another kingdom's survival toolkit. Food, then, becomes more than energy. It becomes information. Each bite can carry messages shaped by sunlight, insects, drought, and plant stress, then translated into subtle effects inside a completely different kind of life. Antioxidants helped early life survive on an increasingly oxygen-rich Earth. There was a time when oxygen was not the friend of life, but one of its greatest threats. As early photosynthetic organisms began releasing more and more oxygen into Earth's atmosphere and oceans, the planet changed profoundly. For many existing forms of life, this new gas was dangerously reactive. It could damage delicate molecules and disrupt ancient ways of living. Survival now required innovation. Organisms that could manage oxygen and defend themselves against its reactive byproducts gained a powerful advantage. In that sense, antioxidant systems were not just helpful additions. They were part of the great turning point that allowed life to endure a transformed planet. This makes them feel ancient in the deepest possible way. They are not modern refinements or nutritional trends. They're descendants of some of the oldest survival strategies ever forged. Long before humans named them, they were already helping life navigate one of the most dramatic atmospheric revolutions in Earth's history, when the air itself became a challenge. Oxygen made complex life possible, but also made cellular damage unavoidable. Oxygen changed everything. It opened the door to far more efficient energy production, which in turn made larger bodies, more active tissues, and more complex organisms possible. Muscles could do more. Brains could do more. Entire new forms of life could emerge because oxygen allowed cells to harvest energy at a much higher level than older systems had permitted. Yet that gift came with an inescapable price. The same chemistry that unlocked such extraordinary power also created reactive byproducts capable of harming the very cells using it. This is one of the grand bargains of biology. Complexity did not arrive free of danger. It arrived bound to a fuel source that could both sustain and threaten life at once. That is why protection became essential. Every complex organism is living inside that ancient deal. We think because oxygen made such energy possible, and we need defenses because oxygen made damage unavoidable. Life rose higher, but only by learning to live beside the fire. Some of the oldest antioxidant enzymes are shared across vast branches of life. One of the clearest signs that this kind of chemistry matters deeply is how widely some protective enzymes are shared. Versions of them appear in bacteria, plants, animals, and many other forms of life, separated by immense evolutionary distances, yet still carrying similar functions. That means these systems are not late inventions belonging to one special group. They are ancient solutions, preserved because the problem they solve has followed life for eons. This makes the story feel wonderfully broad. A human cell and a tiny microbe may seem worlds apart, Yet both can rely on comparable defensive strategies against reactive oxygen. Across the tree of life, different organisms decorate the world in astonishingly different forms, but hidden underneath, some of the same old protective tools keep appearing. That continuity is beautiful. It suggests that once life discovered certain ways to handle oxidative stress, those solutions were too valuable to abandon. Deep time kept them, refined them, and carried them forward into countless descendants. Plants, animals, and microbes all battle oxidative stress in different ways. The challenge may be universal, but the solutions are beautifully diverse. Plants face sunlight, drought, and the need to stay rooted in place, so they rely heavily on pigments, polyphenols, and finely tuned protective enzymes. Animals face movement, high oxygen use, and specialized tissues like muscles and brains, so their systems emphasize internal regulation, compartment-specific defenses, and rapid repair. Microbes inhabit everything from soil to hot springs, and many must survive intense chemical or environmental extremes with compact but highly efficient strategies. This variety is what makes the subject feel so alive. The same broad problem has been answered differently by different forms of life, each shaped by its own history and habitat. Nature did not write one script and hand it to everyone. It created countless variations on the theme of survival under reactive chemistry. Looking across these kingdoms, you begin to see antioxidant defense not as one phenomenon, but as a great evolutionary conversation carried out in leaves, organs, and microscopic cells alike. Even microbes living in harsh environments rely on antioxidant defenses. It is easy to imagine microbes as simple creatures, little specks too small to deserve much wonder. But many of them live in places that would seem impossible for life. Some endure searing heat, crushing salt, acid, dryness, or intense radiation. In those environments, oxidative stress can become a constant threat, because harsh conditions often drive reactive chemistry even more aggressively. To persist there, microbes need defenses of their own, including enzymes and small molecules that help contain damage and preserve vital structures. This is one of the most humbling truths in biology. Even the tiniest organisms must solve the same chemical dilemmas that larger life faces. They do not escape the problem by being small. They meet it with elegance and efficiency. In a salt flat, a hot vent, or a blasted patch of desert stone, unseen cells are defending their proteins, membranes, and genetic material with remarkable skill. The microscopic world is not fragile by default. It is often fiercely inventive. Desert plants often make potent antioxidants to survive heat and radiation. A desert plant lives under relentless pressure. Water is scarce. Temperatures swing wildly. Sunlight can be fierce enough to overwhelm delicate tissues day after day. To survive, these plants do far more than store water or reduce leaf area. Many also build potent protective compounds that help them manage the oxidative strain caused by intense light, dryness, and heat. In this way, the desert becomes a powerful chemist, shaping plants into specialists in endurance. What looks sparse from a distance can be chemically rich up close. A cactus, a scrubby herb, or a tough little desert shrub may be carrying a remarkably active defense system beneath its modest appearance. That contrast is part of the wonder. Harsh landscapes do not only produce toughness in the obvious physical sense, they often produce deeper chemical sophistication as well. Every desert plant is surviving not just the absence of water, but the molecular consequences of living exposed beneath one of Earth's most punishing skies. High mountain sunlight can drive plants to produce stronger chemical shields. At high elevation, plants face a strange kind of beauty that is also a danger. The air is thinner, the temperatures can be cold, and the sunlight arrives with greater intensity because there is less atmosphere above to soften it. For a plant, that means living under a more severe light regime, with greater risk of photochemical stress. One response is to produce more pigments and protective compounds, strengthening the chemical shields that help tissues endure the brightness. This makes mountain plants especially fascinating. Their colors can be vivid, their aromas intense, and their chemistry shaped by an environment that demands resilience. A herb growing on a windy slope or a berry ripening near the tree line is not merely picturesque. It is the product of survival under sharper light. The mountain sky, so clear and exhilarating to us, can act like a forge for plant chemistry. Under that brightness, defensive compounds may deepen and the plant becomes more richly protected. Autumn leaf colors reveal pigments that help protect leaves before they fell. Autumn can feel like pure beauty, leaves turning gold, scarlet, and crimson before drifting to the ground. But behind that beauty lies a final chapter in the life of the leaf. As chlorophyll breaks down and the green fades, other pigments become visible or are produced in greater amounts. Some of these pigments may help protect the leaf during its last days, managing light stress as the tree withdraws valuable nutrients before letting the leaf go. That means autumn color is not merely decorative. It can be part of the tree's careful exit strategy. The season becomes richer when you realize the leaves are not just dying. They are finishing their work. Even in decline, they may still need chemical protection to manage light and oxidative strain during that final transfer of resources. A red maple or glowing dogwood is therefore more than a seasonal spectacle. It is a visible sign of last-minute chemistry, a farewell written in pigments that once helped the leaf endure. Ripening fruit changes its antioxidant chemistry as it becomes sweeter. Ripening is one of the most enchanting transformations in the plant world. A fruit begins hard, tart, and often green, then slowly softens, sweetens, colors, and perfumes the air. Behind that sensual transformation lies a cascade of chemical change. Sugars rise, acids shift, textures loosen, pigments deepen, and defensive compounds can also change in amount or form. The fruit is moving from one mission to another. Early on, it is protecting immature seeds and avoiding premature consumption. Later, it wants to be noticed, eaten, and carried away by animals. That means its chemistry must evolve as its role evolves. This is what makes a ripe peach or fig feel so miraculous. You are tasting the end point of a highly orchestrated negotiation between defense and attraction. The fruit has changed itself into an invitation without completely surrendering its protective nature. Sweetness is only one part of the ripening story. Beneath it lies a deeper shift in plant strategy and chemistry. Fermentation can reshape antioxidant compounds into new chemical forms. Fermentation is one of humanity's oldest acts of invisible collaboration with microbes. Yeasts, bacteria, and fungi enter food, begin transforming sugars and other compounds, and in the process create entirely new flavors, textures, and aromas. But they can also change antioxidant chemistry in fascinating ways. Some compounds are broken apart into smaller forms. Others are released from plant structures that had kept them trapped. New metabolites appear. Old ones diminish. The result is not simply more or less of something, but a reworked chemical landscape. This is why fermented foods can feel so alive and surprising. They are not just preserved versions of their starting ingredients. They are transformed versions, reshaped by microbial metabolism into something new. Tea, cocoa, wine, kimchi, yogurt cultures paired with plant foods, and many other fermented traditions all reveal this principle in different ways. Fermentation turns food into a moving conversation between kingdoms, where microbes revise plant chemistry and humans inherit the result. Tea leaves change their antioxidant profile depending on how they are processed. Tea is one of the best examples of how post-harvest handling can redirect plant chemistry. The leaves may begin on the same bush, but what happens next changes everything. Once picked, they can be heated quickly to preserve a fresher chemical profile, or they can be allowed to undergo enzymatic oxidation that reshapes many of their original compounds. Rolling, bruising, heating, drying, and timing all matter. The leaf is no longer growing, yet its chemistry continues to evolve under human guidance. That is why tea feels so sophisticated. A single plant can become many drinks, each with its own flavor, aroma, color, and antioxidant character. Not because the species changed, but because the processing did. This makes tea a kind of edible lesson in transformation. The same leaf can move toward grassiness, smokiness, malt, floral softness, or deep bitterness, depending on how it is handled. Each cup becomes a record of controlled chemical change after harvest. Green tea and black tea begin as the very same leaf. One of the loveliest surprises in the tea world is that green tea and black tea do not come from different plants. They begin with the same leaves. The great divergence happens after harvest, when human choices guide the chemistry in different directions. Green tea is typically heated soon after picking, which slows enzymatic oxidation and preserves more of the fresh, bright profile of the leaf. Black tea is allowed to oxidize much more fully before drying, which reshapes many of the original compounds and creates darker color and deeper, richer flavors. That means the difference between the two cups is not a difference in botanical identity, so much as a difference in transformation. It is a reminder that food and drink are often stories of process, not just origin. One leaf, two paths, two sensory worlds. The tea plant provides the raw script, and then time, air, bruising, and heat rewrite it into either green brightness or black depth. Cocoa beans become richer in flavor as processing transforms their chemistry. A raw cocoa bean does not taste like a finished chocolate bar. In fact, it can taste harsh, bitter, and oddly incomplete. The magic begins after harvest, when fermentation, drying, roasting, and grinding start rewriting the bean's inner chemistry. Sugars break down. Acids shift. Aromatic compounds multiply. Bitter elements soften or change shape. What emerges is not simply the original bean made stronger, but a transformed version of it, one whose flavor has been unlocked through carefully guided chemical change. This is one reason chocolate feels so mysterious and luxurious. Its taste is not merely grown. It is built in stages, through time, microbes, heat, and craft. The bean carries the potential, but the process gives that potential a voice. By the time cocoa becomes dark, fragrant, and complex, it has traveled through a chain of transformations that make every bite feel deeper than sweetness alone. Chocolate is, in a very real sense, plant chemistry refined into delight. Oxidized LDL is one reason antioxidants entered heart health conversations. Much of the public excitement around antioxidants grew stronger when researchers began looking at cholesterol in a more nuanced way. LDL itself was not the whole story. What drew attention was what could happen when LDL particles became oxidized. Once altered in that way, they seemed more likely to contribute to the processes involved in plaque formation inside blood vessels. That idea was powerful because it connected invisible chemistry to one of the biggest health concerns in the modern world. Suddenly, antioxidants were not just interesting molecules in fruit and tea. They looked like possible players in the drama of heart disease. The theory helped shape decades of research and public imagination. Even though the science later turned out to be more complicated than early hopes suggested, The basic insight remained important. It showed that oxidation was not only about aging or cell damage in the abstract. It might also influence the fate of the arteries that quietly sustain every beat of life. Antioxidants can influence how cells signal danger, repair, and survival. These compounds are often introduced as shields, but that image can be too static for what they really do. In many cases, they are also involved in shaping cellular signaling. That means they can influence how a cell interprets stress, whether it shifts toward repair, whether it changes gene activity, and sometimes whether it survives or dies. This is where the topic becomes especially captivating. We are no longer talking only about damage prevention. We are talking about the language of the cell itself. Signals of danger, adaptation, and recovery all move through chemistry, and redox balance is part of that conversation. A change in oxidative conditions can alter which pathways rise and which quiet down. Protection then becomes bound up with decision-making. The cell is not merely being guarded from harm. It is also being guided in how to respond. Antioxidants belong not only to defense, but to interpretation. They help shape the meaning of stress inside living tissue. Some antioxidants help preserve nitric oxide, which supports blood vessel function. Nitric oxide is one of the most elegant molecules in the body. Tiny, fleeting, and easily lost, it helps blood vessels relax so that blood can flow more smoothly through them. That makes it essential to circulation because vessels need to widen and respond dynamically rather than remain stiff and unyielding. The problem is that nitric oxide can be disrupted by reactive molecules, which means oxidative stress can interfere with one of the body's most delicate signaling tools. Some antioxidants may help by limiting that interference and preserving the conditions nitric oxide needs to keep doing its work. This makes the story feel wonderfully interconnected. A small signaling gas, a flexible artery, a burst of oxidative chemistry, and a protective molecule all become part of the same scene. Circulation is not just plumbing. It is chemistry in motion. The smooth widening of a vessel may depend on whether reactive forces are held in check long enough for that fragile signal to survive. Skincare antioxidants aim to defend against sunlight and urban pollution. Skin sits at the border between the body and the outside world, and that border is busy. Sunlight strikes it. Pollution settles on it. Dry air, heat, and weather all test its surface. That is why antioxidants have become such a major theme in skincare. The idea is not that a cream can create invincible skin, but that certain ingredients may help support the skin's own defenses against the oxidative strain created by ultraviolet radiation, environmental pollutants. This turns a simple bottle on the bathroom shelf into part of a larger story about exposure and protection. The skin is not merely decorative. It is a living barrier absorbing some of the world's harshest contact. When antioxidant compounds are used in that context, the goal is to reinforce the chemistry that helps preserve texture, calm, and resilience under repeated attack. Beauty and biology meet here in a particularly intimate way, at the surface where the body first meets the day. Vitamin C in skin helps support collagen while also fighting oxidation. Vitamin C is often celebrated for its role in food and immunity, but the skin gives it another fascinating stage. There, it helps support collagen production, which matters because collagen provides much of the structure that keeps skin firm and resilient. At the same time, vitamin C can participate in antioxidant defense, helping manage oxidative stress from sunlight and environmental exposure. That double role is part of what makes it so interesting. It is not only helping the skin stay chemically protected, it is also helping it maintain the scaffolding that gives the tissue strength and shape. The connection feels almost architectural. A molecule contributes both to protecting the building and to maintaining the beams. That is one reason vitamin C has such a lasting place in conversations about skin health. Beneath the cosmetic language lies real biological drama. Structure and defense are intertwined, and this familiar nutrient sits at one of the most important crossroads between them. Antioxidants are used in food preservation long before they reach your plate. Long before we began talking about antioxidants in nutrition, people were already relying on them in another way. Food makers learned that fats, oils, colors, and flavors could all change or deteriorate when oxidation took hold, so antioxidants became part of the effort to slow spoilage and preserve quality. Sometimes these compounds come naturally from ingredients already in the food. Sometimes they are added during processing to help keep products stable through transport and storage. This means the antioxidant story begins well before the first bite. It is present in the shelf life of snacks, the freshness of oils, the color of packaged foods, and the effort to keep flavors from flattening or turning stale. In that sense, antioxidants are not only part of metabolism. They are part of modern food history. They help preserve the qualities we expect from food before it ever enters the body, standing guard not in our tissues, but in the pantry, warehouse, and shop shelf. Without antioxidants, oils and fats would spoil much more quickly. Fats are wonderfully useful in food. They carry flavor, create texture, hold aromas, and make many dishes deeply satisfying. Yet they are also chemically vulnerable. Given enough time, oxygen, heat, and light, oils can begin to break down in ways that change taste, smell, and quality. This is why antioxidants matter so much in fatty foods. They help slow the reactions that would otherwise push oils toward rancidity. It is almost as though every bottle of oil lives under a quiet deadline, and antioxidants help stretch the clock. This becomes especially important in foods rich in delicate unsaturated fats, where oxidation can move quickly if conditions are poor. The result is that preservation is never just about keeping something from going bad in a vague sense. It is about holding back a very specific chemical process. Each time an oil stays pleasant, fragrant, and stable longer than it otherwise would, protective chemistry has helped keep spoilage waiting. Rancid smells are often the scent of oxidation winning. There are few kitchen smells more disappointing than rancidity. An oil that once smelled fruity or neutral develops sharp, stale, almost paint-like notes. Nuts lose their richness and take on a flat, unpleasant edge. What you are smelling in those moments is often oxidation made obvious. As fats break down, they produce smaller, volatile compounds that drift into the air and announce that change has gone too far. It is a perfect example of chemistry becoming sensory experience. The nose detects what the molecules have already decided. Something once fresh has crossed into decline. That is why rancid odors can feel so revealing. They are not just bad smells. They are warnings from the molecular world, proof that oxygen, time, heat, and light have been quietly rewriting the food. In a way, the smell of rancidity is the moment oxidation stops being invisible. The hidden battle inside oil or nuts reaches the surface, and your senses finally catch up with the chemistry. Packaging sometimes protects foods mainly by slowing oxidation from air and light. A bag, bottle, or carton may seem like a simple container, but often it is part of the food's defense system. Many packages are designed not only for convenience, but to reduce contact with oxygen and light, two major forces that can alter flavor, color, and quality over time. Dark glass can help shield oils. Sealed pouches can limit air. Special atmospheres inside packaging can reduce the oxygen available for damaging reactions. Once you understand that, the supermarket begins to look different. The packaging is no longer just wrapping. It is protective engineering. It is there to help hold the food in a slower state of change. This is especially important for delicate products whose valuable compounds fade or whose fats can turn quickly under poor conditions. In a very real sense, packaging is part of the antioxidant story by proxy. Even without adding a single molecule, it can defend food simply by slowing the forces that would let oxidation get started. A sliced avocado browns because its own chemistry meets oxygen. An avocado can feel lush, rich, and almost buttery when first cut open. Then, not long after, that bright green surface begins to dull and darken. This change is not random. Like many fruits, avocado contains enzymes and compounds that are kept separated while the cells remain intact. Once the flesh is sliced, mashed, or bruised, oxygen from the air gains access, and those chemical partners begin reacting. The result is browning, a visible sign that the avocado's own chemistry has met the outside world. It is a little like watching a hidden mechanism activate the moment the fruit is opened. That is part of what makes it so fascinating. The change feels immediate and slightly tragic, because freshness seems to slip away before your eyes. Yet it is also a marvelous demonstration of how full of reactive possibility plant tissues really are. Even in a quiet kitchen, an avocado can stage a tiny lesson in oxidation within minutes. Lemon juice can slow browning because chemistry can interrupt oxidation. When lemon juice is squeezed over apple slices or avocado, it can feel almost magical. The food stays brighter for longer, as though time itself has been delayed. The explanation, of course, is chemical rather than magical, but that makes it no less enchanting. Lemon juice brings acidity and vitamin C into the scene, and both can help slow the reactions responsible for browning. The lower pH can make browning enzymes less active, while vitamin C can interfere with the oxidative process more directly. What is so lovely about this is how practical and visible it is. A kitchen trick handed down through habit turns out to be a sharp piece of chemistry. The cook becomes an unwitting redox manager, using one food to protect another from exposure to air. It is a reminder that chemistry is not reserved for laboratories. It lives in chopping boards and salad bowls, where a squeeze of citrus can hold back visible change for just a little while. Wine, tea, coffee, and berries all carry different antioxidant personalities. Not all antioxidant-rich foods and drinks feel the same, and that difference is not just about taste. Wine, tea, coffee, and berries each bring their own chemical style, shaped by plant species, growing conditions, processing, and storage. Tea can feel brisk and drying. Coffee can feel roasted, dark, and aromatic. Berries bring vivid pigments and tart sweetness. Wine adds fermentation, grape skins, and aging into the story. Each has its own balance of compounds, its own rhythm of bitterness and fragrance, its own way of entering the body's sensory world. This is why the subject stays so interesting. Protective chemistry is not one monotone theme repeated endlessly. It comes with personality. It arrives through different flavors, colors, and traditions. A blueberry does not speak like espresso. A cup of green tea does not speak like red wine. Each carries a different branch of plant chemistry into human culture, and that diversity makes the whole antioxidant story feel more alive and more human. No single antioxidant can do the work of the whole crowd. The dream of a single perfect antioxidant is alluring because it promises simplicity. One molecule, one answer, one hero to protect everything. But living systems are too varied for that to work. Threats arise in different tissues, different compartments, and different chemical settings. Some defenders work best in water. Others belong in fats. Some act directly. Others help enzymes restore partners, or influence signaling. What this means is that no single compound can cover the whole field. A body needs a coordinated defense, not a lone champion. This is one of the most important truths in the subject, and perhaps one of the most beautiful. Biology relies on ensembles. The work is shared. The defenders overlap, cooperate, and compensate for one another. That is why the fantasy of one miracle molecule keeps falling short. Life does not ask for one perfect shield. It asks for a whole responsive network, each part doing what the others cannot, each part helping keep the living whole intact. More is not always better when redox chemistry is involved. There is something deeply human about assuming that if a useful thing helps a little, then a much larger amount must help more. Redox biology resists that instinct. The body needs protection, yes, but it also depends on signaling systems that use reactive chemistry in measured ways. Flood the system with too much of one isolated compound, and the result may not be stronger health. It may simply be a disruption of a delicate balance. That is what makes this subject so different from the language of simple deficiency. Redox chemistry is not only about having enough. It is about proportion, context, timing, and location. The same compound can help in one setting and be unhelpful in another. That is why restraint matters here. The body is not a fire that needs endless dousing. It is more like an engine that needs heat held within the right range. Stability comes not from maximum interference, but from intelligent balance within a living system. Your healthiest antioxidant habit may simply be eating more varied plants. After all the chemistry, enzymes, pathways, and headlines, one of the most practical conclusions is also one of the least glamorous. Variety matters. Different plants carry different pigments, polyphenols, vitamins, minerals, fibers, and sulfur compounds, each shaped by a different history of survival. Eat broadly across fruits, vegetables, legumes, herbs, spices, nuts, seeds, teas, and grains, and you begin gathering a much wider cast of protective chemistry than any single food could provide. This idea is comforting because it shifts the focus away from obsession and toward pattern. Health does not need to hinge on one exotic powder or one perfect fruit. It can grow from the steady habit of welcoming more plant diversity into ordinary meals. A red pepper does not replace blueberries. Beans do not replace greens. Garlic does not replace oats. Each adds a tone note to the larger composition. Over time, that varied chorus may matter more than any isolated nutritional star. The body's antioxidant story is really about resilience, repair, and timing. By the time you reach the deeper layers of this subject, it stops being just a story about molecules stopping damage. It becomes a story about how living systems stay functional in a world full of chemical risk. Resilience matters because the body cannot avoid stress entirely. Repair matters because some damage will always happen. Timing matters because protection has to appear when and where it is needed, not merely exist in vague abundance. That combination makes the whole topic feel much wiser than the usual language around it. The body is not trying to become chemically untouched. It is trying to remain recoverable. It is trying to keep order in motion. When reactive chemistry rises, defenses respond. When tissues strain, repair begins. When the moment passes, balance must be restored again. The real marvel is not that oxidation exists, but that living systems can absorb so much of it and still continue. Antioxidants belong to that larger art of staying whole through constant change. Antioxidants protect life at the edge between energy and damage. Life does not happen in a place of complete safety. It happens at the edge, where useful chemistry and dangerous chemistry nearly touch. Cells need energy, And getting that energy often involves oxygen, electrons, and reactions that could easily run too far. Membranes must stay flexible, signals must remain precise, and genetic material must survive in the middle of all this activity. That is the narrow ledge living things occupy. Protection at that edge is what makes complex life possible. Antioxidants are part of the system, but keeps the drop from becoming a fall. They do not remove the edge. They help life remain poised upon it. This is why the subject can feel almost philosophical. Every thought, step, pulse, and breath takes place between usefulness and risk. The wonder is not only that the body generates energy, it is that it does so while preserving itself from the chemistry that energy creates. Life persists because that edge can be defended. Every breath makes antioxidants necessary, and every meal can help. Breathing feels effortless, automatic, and peaceful, yet every inhale begins chemistry that will eventually produce some degree of reactive stress. That is the hidden cost of being an oxygen-using creature. From that perspective, antioxidants are not optional extras or modern nutritional obsessions. They are part of the basic equipment required to live in air. What is especially encouraging is that food can join this story every day. Meals do not only deliver calories, they can bring vitamins, polyphenols, minerals, pigments, and other compounds that support the body's existing defenses. This ties one of the most ordinary human acts, eating, to one of the most fundamental biological challenges, surviving oxygen. It makes the dinner table feel more profound than it first appears. Every salad, bowl of beans, cup of tea, handful of nuts, or plate of vegetables becomes part of a much older struggle. You breathe because you must. You can eat in ways that help the body manage what breathing always brings. Antioxidants are the quiet reason oxygen can sustain life without destroying it. Oxygen gave life astonishing power. It allowed cells to build more energy, bodies to grow larger, and nervous systems to become more complex. But oxygen was never a gentle gift. It came with the danger of constant reactive damage, a danger so deep that without protection, complex life would have struggled to endure at all. This is why the role of antioxidants feels so profound at the end of the story. They are not merely helpful nutrients or background chemistry. They are part of the reason life could fully accept oxygen as a partner instead of being undone by it. Every tissue in your body lives inside that ancient bargain. Power comes in. Risk comes with it. Defense stands in between. The miracle is how quietly this happens. No sensation tells you that trillions of cells are negotiating with oxygen every moment. Yet they are, and they succeed so often that you can walk, think, speak, heal, and rest. That hidden success is one of biology's greatest triumphs. As our journey through antioxidants comes to a close, what lingers is something both strange and beautiful. Hidden inside every breath, every meal, and every heartbeat is a constant act of protection. All across your body, tiny defenses are at work, steadying unstable molecules, preserving delicate cells, and helping life continue in the narrow space between energy and damage. Tonight, we've wandered through that invisible world. We've seen how plants fill themselves with protective colors beneath the sun, how fruits, teas, oils, herbs, and seeds carry the chemistry of survival, and how your own body joins that effort with defenses of its own. We've traced these molecules through skin, blood vessels, the eyes, the brain, and deep into the oldest story of life on Earth. And perhaps the most astonishing part of all is this. Something so small, so easily overlooked, helps make the living world possible. So now, let all of that begin to drift. Let the bright berries, dark leaves, glowing oils, and hidden cellular worlds soften into the distance. Let the chemistry grow still in your thoughts. You do not need to hold on to any of it now. You can simply rest and let wonder settle into calm. If you enjoyed this slow journey through the hidden science of life, I'd love for you to like, subscribe, or leave a thought below. It helps more sleepy minds find their way here. And if you happen to still be awake, there will be another video waiting for you on screen, ready to carry you a little farther into the night. But for now, let your breathing slow. Let your body grow heavy. And let the day fall gently away. Sleep well and good night.